Nick claimed that this guy has a work ethic and he loves football like him and Joey. Like he put him into that category. I do think about some of the guys the Niners have acquired either in the offseason or at the trade deadline the last couple of years. Like guys whose all their chips were in the middle of the table, where it's like this stretch of football with the 49ers can lead to a massive payday or resurrect my career.
Right.
They're doing it with Cleveland Farrell right now. They did it with Arden Key. They did it with a couple other pass rushers. They did it with Emmanuel Sanders. Like guys cash in. And obviously Chase has already had some comments like, it's cool being around winners and just some little stuff. But I just think from a strictly football standpoint, you ball out, like you become a star in this franchise. Look what McCaffrey – think about if McCaffrey was a free agent. Like just – it'd be a problem for the Niners because they would have to pay him, right? And they would, but they would pay him a lot. It'd be like, God, they just gave McCaffrey $60 million guaranteed. Kyle's like, yeah, it's the easiest money I've ever given out. But I do think you get a guy, like think about the Bears. They just trade a second-round pick, and they immediately give the guy 4 years, $70 million guaranteed. Like, I've never even had double-digit sacks, whatever. It's kind of the opposite with Chase Young. It's like I was once viewed as like an elite prospect. I had an awesome season. My career got derailed. Now I kind of get a second life to kind of prove to this team / the rest of the NFL – like, I'm fucking really good. And the 49ers would be inclined to pay that position, right? So could they get him for like 3 years, $90 million, guarantee 50 or 60 or something like that? Like, I think if he has a type season where he has a sack a game, and who knows, maybe he prices himself out of the 49ers, but it's a win-win no matter what.
Yeah, would they choose him over Aiyuk if he has a really good stretch run here? And he jumps.
I think you have to from a football standpoint,
because the position
in terms of like philosophically, you pay pass rushers before you pay a wide receiver.
Yeah, and also like here's what we know about Brandon Aiyuk, who's having a great year. Those guys, you can get those guys in the middle or even at the end of the first round. You don't get Chase Youngs in the middle or the end of the first round, right? Chase Young gets drafted where Chase Young got drafted, and some guy who's half as good as Chase Young gets drafted in the top 10. Or at least as good of a prospect as him.
Yeah. You just can't bank on finding those type guys in the middle rounds, right? Or even in the second day. Look at Drake Jackson, who Barrows wrote about. You forget because I'm like, God, is Drake Jackson even active for these games? Like his snap count is trending the other way.
Well, I think 12 in the Vikings game. What was it in the Bengals game?
Couldn't have been high. And honestly, he's got 3 sacks, but it all came in week 1. Right. So it's like they clearly don't depend on the guy. Now, they might have done this whether Drake Jackson was like becoming a very reliable guy just because you can never have enough. But I think it's pretty clear they view that guy a lot like they do Ty Davis Price as just kind of nothings, which is not ideal, right? But it is where you are. I think the thing with Chase Young, the difference is, if you just look at it in a vacuum as a player, like Brandon Aiyuk over the course of his career, and it's impossible to compare a wide receiver and a defensive end, but it's just been a consistently better player than Chase Young, a consistently more reliable player than Chase Young, and a consistently more healthier player than Chase Young.
And he's your guy.
And he's your guy. He knows your system. Chase had a lot to prove. Like Brandon's already proven a lot, but I think we already know that he kind of is their curveball if they want to do some shit this offseason, right? Are they going to pay him? I mean, I just looked up Christian Kirk a couple years ago. Got 4 years, $72 million. Now his signing bonus was $20 million. But it's pretty clear, like, Christian Kirk's going to play out that 4 for 72. So he's essentially playing $18 million a year. Brandon Aiyuk, I saw T. Higgins, who's a contract year, has a huge game on Sunday Night Football. I mean, what type contracts are we talking? 50 guaranteed for those type players?
Yeah.
They're expensive.
Now Christian Kirk's going to be 2 years removed from Christian's deal by the time Aiyuk's turn comes, right? That was before the 2022.
This is his second season on the Jags. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a 2-year-old contract. And he's kind of lived that. Remember, everyone was like, oh, Christian Kirk, man, screwed the market. It turned out it was a good deal for him. It was a good deal for them. Remember, everyone thought it was a joke of a contract.
Well, everyone was shitting on Bulky, remember?
Yeah, that's right. But which
You,
time?
you know what Kirk has this year? 43 catches and 500 yards. Last year he had 84 catches and 8 touchdowns. Like he's been like, is Brandon Aiyuk giving you 84 and 8? I mean, on this team, obviously not. It's very difficult for him to do that. But like another team that signed him would be glad to just get that production with Brandon Aiyuk, and they'd get it, right? If you put, what would Brandon Ayuk's number be if he was on the Chiefs, right? Or the Bills, or a team that just threw it all the time, or the Chargers? The Niners just aren't going to play that game.
Yeah. And I think he knows that. That's part of your pitch. It's part of the agent's pitch. Drake Jackson, 10 snaps against the Bengals. Randy Gregory, sneaky 16.
My guess is Brandon Aiyuk gets traded this offseason.
Well, John, I mean, it's not surprising, right? I mean, think about what happened around the NFL draft last year. Brandon Aiyuk himself, the Niners wouldn't really answer a question directly. They were picking up everyone's fifth-year option, waiting until the last second on him. Aiyuk, whatever he posted, I don't even remember exactly what it was, but it was basically like something crazy almost just happened. Oh, that's what it was. His agent called him to tell him they picked up the fifth-year option, and he said it was something like heart jumped. He thought it was, yeah, like it was, that stuff was not made up, right?
It was a little weird they waited so long, and it was clear they waited so long because if they were going to trade him, they wanted to give it the power of someone else, right?
So now, I think
any team that would have traded for Brandon Aiyuk would have picked up the fifth-year option.
Would have picked it up, or just yeah. But I think the other thing you said here, just to put a cap on this conversation, we should hit is just the Chase. What you said, Chase Young still has a lot to prove before this is the thing. Brandon Aiyuk has already proven everything he needs to prove. He's still doing it. Chase Young, they're about to play the game that I don't want to overstate it, but like, you know, you lose to the Bengals and Kyle comes out and says afterwards, we look slow, we look tired. You had multiple long trips. You're playing back-to-back teams off buys. The Cleveland game took a lot out of you. You got multiple guys hurt. All those excuses are gone now. I know the Jags are off a bye. So are you. You've had time to collect yourself. You've had time to get healthy. You went and traded for Chase Young. You had time to figure out what's up with Steve Wilks. Like in the NFL,
you got to win this fucking game.
Yeah, until you're eliminated, like nothing truly is. But this is a pretty massive, massive, massive game for them.